In this video, I am busting the top 5 drug testing myths or misconceptions that I've heard over the many years of doing drug testing videos here on YouTube. All right, myth number 1, and we are starting off with a huge one here. It's in regards to how long THC marijuana stays in your urine and can be detected on a drug test, specifically a urinalysis. So I wanted to start off with a major myth here because I know there's a lot of people concerned about this specifically. So if you do a real quick Google search, like for how long THC stays in your urine or how long will I test positive on a urinalysis, the typical website will quote something like 1 to 30 days. Now, unfortunately, with THC specifically, it's not as straightforward as this. I've done a number of videos on this subject, so I won't go all into it, but THC can be stored in your body fat. And then if you break body fat down later in time, even if you've stopped using marijuana, that THC can be re-released in your bloodstream and then end up in your urine. And again, you could test positive. So we got to dig a little bit deeper here. And the best I could do, unfortunately, because marijuana is still a Schedule I substance, is this study here. It is from 1985, unfortunately, and it's not a one-to-one comparison because it uses a 20 nanogram per milliliter cutoff instead of a 50 nanogram per milliliter cutoff. But it shows that the participants that were chronic users didn't consistently test under the cutoff level until day 77. And just so you understand that I really looked for more research here, this research study from 1985 was actually quoted in another research study from 2017. So there's just very limited information about this subject, but I've certainly heard from other drivers, other people in YouTube comments that they're testing positive after stopping use for months, 2 months, 3 months. Anything over 3 months, I haven't heard anything very consistent, but certainly up to 3 months in very chronic and heavy users. So just thinking because you Googled that the time frame is 1 to 30 days and you've got a drug test coming up in a month and you've been using marijuana maybe all of your life very consistently, and you say, well, I'm just stopping 30 days before and I'm 100% guaranteed going to be clean by that drug test. That is just absolutely false, not true. That myth is busted. Now, there are things you can do to help make sure that you don't test positive for months and months and months. We've done an absolutely 100% free masterclass teaching you exactly what to do to be best prepared to pass an upcoming drug test for THC marijuana specifically. I will leave a link to that course in the description box below. All right, myth number 2 is also THC specific, and it is, does exercise, sweating it out, doing a bunch of cardio, does that help you pass an upcoming drug test? People say this again all the time in the comments of my videos, that they are just planning on sitting in the sauna or doing a bunch of cardio and just sweating out all the metabolites. This is actually the absolute worst thing that you can do right before a drug test. Because again, if you understand how THC is metabolized, you ingest it, and if you ingest too much, it gets stored in your body fat. And then if you quit using and you break down that body fat, the THC can be re-released into your bloodstream and then end up in your urine, even if you've stopped using. Fat cells are like a storage locker for THC. So if you think about this, you have used THC consistently, you stop using, you have a drug test coming up, and you're like, well, as the drug test gets closer, I'm going to start a lot of cardio, sweat all of this THC out, clean my system out that way. Then you start breaking down body fat, re-releasing THC into your bloodstream, actually making it more possible for you to test positive on that urinalysis. So please do not, if you are a heavy user of THC, right before a drug test, start massive exercise, diets, trying to lose weight and trying to get in shape or whatever. You do not want to metabolize body fat right before a drug test. That myth is absolutely busted. All right, myth number 3 is that home drug tests are never accurate. You can't rely on them to have any idea of if you're going to test positive or negative on the official drug test. This myth is absolutely busted. These tests are pretty good. I've done a full video on the accuracy of home drug tests using 3 separate research studies, and for THC and marijuana it came out to something like 90% accurate to an actual drug test, and for every other drug, something in the high 90s. So they are very, very accurate. A lot of them will quote like 9% accurate. Now, certainly, false positives are possible. False negatives are possible, but they're also possible on official drug tests. So just the same as with a home drug test, you can get a false positive or false negative on an official drug test. So the key here is not to test yourself at home one time. You test yourself multiple times, getting multiple pieces of information, and if you're consistently passing the drug test over and over, day after day, you can be pretty confident that you're going to be under the cutoff level of the official drug test. So I will leave a link to, again, my preferred home drug tests from Explorer that you can get right on Amazon in the description of this video. But again, you want to make sure that you're using the test multiple times leading up to that official test. Then you'll have a really, really good idea. If you do one test, maybe you messed the test up. Maybe there was user error in here. So again, I get a lot of comments in my videos saying that certain at-home drug tests were junk, they didn't work, and usually that comes down, again, unfortunately, to user error. So if you just do one drug test, anything can happen. You need some consistency. 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 at-home drug tests every day leading up to that official drug test. So the myth that at-home drug tests are garbage is absolutely busted. All right, myth number 4, and this involves how the drug test is performed, and people are often very, very scared and concerned about this, and that is that when you go in to give your sample, they're going to watch you actually pee into that cup. And this is just not the standard. This is not the federal standard, again, here in the United States. What typically happens is you go in, you fill out some paperwork, they hand you the cup that you need to give your sample into, and they let you into a private bathroom by yourself with the door locked. You fill up that cup, you close the lid, and then when you're done, you come out of the bathroom and hand it back to them. So what people are nervous of is an automatic observed test where they're actually in the bathroom watching you urinate into that cup. It prevents cheating. That's what an observed test is aimed at doing, is preventing people from being in that locked bathroom and doing whatever to that sample. But it's not the federal standard. Now, if you are caught cheating, if you have a return to duty test, the military is a little bit different, and certainly private employers can request that the test is observed, again, for security reasons, but it's not the automatic standard. The standard is that when you go in to get your drug test performed, they are not going to be observing you. You're going to be in the bathroom by yourself, and then you're going to be able to hand that cup back to them once you're finished. So the myth of them automatically watching you give your sample, that myth is busted. All right, and myth number 5, finally, and again, we're ending with a big one here too, and that is that things like Certo, detox drinks, etc. can beat a drug test within a day or two. And there is just no science to back this up. Absolutely none. And people have commented that it's worked, and other people have commented that it doesn't work. People get desperate a day or two out from their drug test, and they're just willing to try anything. So they try all kinds of different methods. A lot of these methods are simply based on diluting the sample. So my belief is that within about a week of an official drug test, there is not much you can do except for home test yourself and try to keep your metabolism running as efficiently as possible. So again, that's what you need to focus on. You need to focus on home drug testing so you know where you stand, and keeping your metabolism running as efficiently as possible. And again, all of that information is in that masterclass, that free masterclass that we've put together. Again, a link to that will be in the description of this video. But saying that you can use marijuana, THC specifically, all the way up to a day or two before a drug test, and then drink a special magical drink or do some special magical procedure to get it out of your system, that myth is absolutely busted. All right, so I hope that was very, very helpful. Again, if you have a concern, something you aren't sure about, leave that in the comment section of this video. And again, maybe I will do a part 2, but I will at least try to answer it directly in the comments. Until next time, everybody, stay safe.